Hello, beautiful, divine, awakening souls. I am Joanne Antoun, founder of CTC, the 2-hour life-transforming combined therapy cocktail, and the International Institute of Combined Therapy Cocktail. I am here today with the gorgeous Nell Canellis, a fellow CTC therapist and an incredible woman who is so incredibly loving and nurturing and has a gorgeous, gorgeous passion for helping you to remember who you are in all of your amazingness. Hello, beautiful Nell. How are you today?
Hello, Jo. How are you? Thank you so much for letting me be here with you today. I feel very blessed and very honoured.
Thank you so much for choosing to be here too, sweetheart. So lovely to see you. So Nell and I are here today to talk about finally breaking free of the shackles of self-doubt and stepping into that space where you are standing fully in your confidence and in your power. So Nell, you did your training just on 8 months ago and so much has changed for you. You've changed in every possible way. You have become an incredibly confident woman. Your life has changed. You now have a thriving wellness centre in Young, New South Wales, and you are changing the lives of many others. So can you share with us a little bit about your journey? What led you into the field of personal development, healing and therapy?
It started a very long time ago, Jo. From a very young age, I always was in tune with spirit, always knew there was something more. Always knew that if I did push through the barriers of fear that I could do the things that I really wanted to do. Somewhere along the line, as I got older, I become disconnected. And that's when I was introduced to you. And finally did the CTC session, and that's when everything unfolded. My whole life dramatically changed very quickly, as you know. The journey to date has been absolutely mind-blowing. I sit here before you and still, think, geez, I could pinch myself. Have I done this? Have I created this? It's been an amazing journey, and I've loved every second of it. And I do know that once you stand in your power and push through the barriers of fear and believe in yourself, you can do anything. You can move many mountains. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about your centre. I only visited, was it a month or two ago that I was there?
A couple of months ago, yes. So I manifested this beautiful space. It took me 2 days to manifest this space. Yeah, I'm a true believer and I'm very good at it, apparently. I wanted to create this beautiful space for the community of Young, where I come from, and for people, all over the place. Basically to walk through the door and feel the love, the calmness and the acceptance, and just to stop and be still and let go. And that's exactly what it's all about. Here we do meditations, we do yoga, we do workshops. Here I do my CTC sessions, the NLP, EFT, hypnosis, so many. I have 3 other rooms with beautiful therapists that also share their talents and gifts with the townspeople and people around. And that's what this is all about. I am so blessed and so honoured to be able to be doing what I believe in, and to share this with the people that come through the doors, to let them know that they are loved, and they are accepted, and we're all on the same journey, and we can be, do and have anything that our hearts desires, as long as we have that belief and we push through the fears.
Beautiful. And you're an incredible example of that. Obviously, having just recently done the training, I remember throughout the training there are some moments where you were of pushing through the self-doubt, of pushing through the fears. And you did that every single time. So I'm exceptionally proud of you for doing that. But what I see also is that you recognise that in other people now. So you see where they're at, you see where they can be, and you help push them through. So if you can share a little bit with us maybe about your personal experience of moving through doubt and into confidence, and how you're helping other people with CTC therapy to do the same thing.
Okay, so mine started a very long time ago, and this come up in our session in my training with you. I was carrying around so much crap, you know, from a very young age. And in that moment with you doing the training, it was like this huge light bulb moment of like, you know, this was never my crap to carry around. It was my mother's. Yeah. And it was just that simple and so quick. It was like, oh, you know, I had all this guilt, all these feelings, all these beliefs, all these fears around her, but it was actually her crap, not mine. I love her dearly, bless her soul. But it was never mine to keep. It was never mine to, you know, to have. Yeah. So with that belief and with that knowing and letting that all go and release, that's when I well and truly, you know, stood in my power and had the belief that I'm in control of my own thought. Yeah. It's very simple. It's not rocket science. I get to choose how people make me feel. And you will always have two choices. Therefore, you know, if I want this person to make me feel like this, I can go with it, or I can go, you know what, no, I've got control over it. I have the power over it, and I choose not to. Clients that have come in, you know, one particular one, absolutely gorgeous girl, had lots of beliefs, fears, anxiety around, you know, not being good enough. And that's what the CTC is all about, isn't it? You know, finding that belief and knowing your worth. She was on medication, Jo. She'd been on medication for like 7 years. She walked into the doctors after our CTC session, and the doctor said, what have you been up to? You know, you look like you're walking on a rainbow, you're bouncing around. And she said, this is what I've done. This is where I'm at. And he goes, you know what? For the first time, I can honestly say to you that I'd like to take you off your medication. Let's go through the steps to do it. And that is the CTC. Yeah. You know, the way you have combined it all together. And structured it. It's these light bulb moments where it just clicks and it programs and sets everything in your mind.
Beautiful, beautiful. Really important points there. So you mentioned for your own journey that you realised that the stuff that you were carrying was your mum's. And just so our listeners understand, what happens is obviously we all spent time in our mother's womb. And when we're in our mother's womb, we are a part of, obviously. But what happens is more often than not, the things that our mother experiences, the things that she's carrying, we take on board, we believe them to be our own, and they're not. Okay, they are our mums. And obviously we all spent time in our grandmother's womb too, because all the eggs that our mother produced were produced while she was at 4 or 5 months in her mother's womb. Anyway, the ancestral stuff is a whole other story. But the point I'm trying to make here is the time that we spend in our mother's womb, and we more often than not take on board our mother's feelings, our mother's experiences, our mother's emotions, because we don't realise what is ours and what is not. And then, unfortunately, we often come into this life, into this world, and we bring those issues with us, and they hover over us like this dark cloud that we can't seem to get rid of. And it's certainly not a job for the conscious mind, right? So consciously we will try and do some work, or we might seek out therapy and what have you, but this is not a job for the conscious mind. This is actually part of our subconscious programming, which more often than not comes from the time in the womb through to about 6 or 7 years old. So I see this a lot. I see this a lot more often than not with many, many clients that both Nell and I work with. We find ourselves going back into the womb so as to set our client free of deep-seated issues. Nell, if you could maybe even share a little bit. I have some more things that you touched on that I want to elaborate on. But with regards to being in the mother's womb, to travelling back into the mother's womb, have you noticed that most of your clients have needed to go back to that point as well?
Absolutely. Absolutely, because that's where the downloads start, isn't it? That's where the programming begins. And you're right, you know, it does, it carries through. And with most of my clients, actually all of them, when you get to that point through the session, it is like this total release. It's like, holy cow, you know, it's not my shit. And why have I been carrying it around for so long? And something so simple but so effective, it's totally mind-blowing.
Yeah,
it
absolutely.
really is. Yeah.
thing is too, once we take our client back into that moment, because we're always, what we're doing is we're following the emotions, and wherever the emotion takes us to is where we go, right? And if we happen to end up in the womb for that particular emotion, we will always ask the question, I want you to tap into this feeling. Does this feeling belong to you, or was it your mother's? And that is, I mean, you literally see the light bulb moment happen for your clients. And something that Nell mentioned earlier was that in that moment for herself personally, that she felt like, oh my God, you know, this is not mine. And in that moment, she was in her power, and she realized that she gets to choose. And this is a really important thing to understand, because the moment we stop looking at something outside of us as being, you know, our issue, and we put ourselves back in that position of responsibility, it's in that moment that we are back in the position of power. And when we are in power, we realize that we do get to make choices. And Nell had said, you know, she realizes in every single moment she gets to choose. And this is about, you know, for a CTC therapist, we are all about empowering you to remember that you are the power in your world. It's the biggest thing to know.
Yeah, you know, I can remember being at a very young age of, you know, 6 years old and getting taken from mum because she drank a lot. I remember the day very clearly. Grandparents come to take me away. This also come up in our training with you. And I can remember hopping in the car and driving away thinking, it's all my fault. It's all my fault. You know, at such a young age, I had this belief and this program set, and carried it on for, you know, right up to probably 8 months ago, thinking and feeling and believing that, you know, it's all my fault. And that's where I had to be the mother. You know, I grew up so fast. In actual fact, it was all of mum's crap, basically. And it's so nice and so liberating and so freeing and peaceful to be sitting here with you now and saying, you know what, for the very first time in my entire life, I love who I am. I love what I do, and I love who I'm becoming. And I'm excited about today and every single day, you know, my future. And I have you to thank for it. So thank you, beautiful.
Oh, honey, do you know what? And I have you to thank for being ready, for being willing, for choosing to share CTC with the world as well. So thank you, thank you. But the thing is, and maybe this is a really great way to get into the fact that you need to be ready, because you know, unless you are ready for change, unless you know that where you are and how you feel isn't how you want things to stay, then things won't shift for you in miraculous ways. So, Nell, you were obviously ready. And with the clients that you see, the clients that you draw to you, I know we as therapists, we always speak to our clients to make sure that they're ready. But have you noticed that the miracles always happen the more ready the person is?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I did have a client probably a month ago who reached out to me, and with our intuitive, you know, downloads and things, I just knew the time wasn't right for her. So we've been working on other things, and she's coming through beautifully. And I know the time will come for her when she's 110% ready, but it just wasn't the right time for her. Yeah.
It makes a world of difference.
Yeah.
Myself personally, if somebody rings because they've had an amazing transformation, they want to book their husband in, my first comment is, I'm sorry, I'm not prepared to make an appointment for him. If he's not prepared to pick up the phone, call me himself to schedule in his own appointment, then he's not taking responsibility and not ready for his own healing. So it has to be ready, because the more ready you are, the more you will surrender and open yourself up to the processes and to deep healing and profound change. So now I would love for you to share with me a couple of your amazing success stories. What comes
for me personally?
Personally, but also your clients, because I know that you're having remarkable results with your clients.
Okay. So a client that comes to mind, a beautiful girl who's also training to be a CTC therapist. I saw her a couple of months ago, and she had this huge transformation of, you know, basically standing in her power. That's what it's all about, and believing, you know, that she can be, do, and have anything that she wishes to do. And in that, it was a lot to do with the ego, like it always is. She had this moment in time of knowing, like, you know, geez, it's just a voice. And when you're aware of that voice, that's when you can grab it quickly and basically throw it away and change the outcome completely. So she's a huge success because she's totally stood in her power, and I know that you know her, and she's training, if not with you now, very soon to become a CTC therapist. So I celebrate her, totally celebrate her, and as I say to all my clients, I'll lift you as high as I can, you know, and I'll be there for you when you need me to lift you. But at the end of the day, you also have to do the work. Yes. You know, that little bit of work that we set out for them, which is not hard. So, yeah, she's a huge success, and I celebrate her. Everyone that has walked through the door has had huge transformations.
Yeah.
You know, you couldn't otherwise have anything else, really. That's
right.
How powerful it is, isn't it?
Really powerful. If you're ready and you're open to receive, then absolutely the miracle is yours. Something that comes up for us a lot, obviously we have our clients write our list in point form of what they believe their issues to be. We as CTC therapists also intuitively create our own list for you, because your stuff will mess with you. It will play games with you, but it can't play games with us because we're not emotionally attached to your story like you are. But something that often comes up is that, like, we know consciously that you want change, and we'll have you rate that, right, between 0 and 10, 10 being the most intense, you know, the fear of not changing or the fear of the session not working. But what often comes up and always surprises everybody is that we will then ask the question, the fear of change, the fear of the session working, things like that. And you'll find that that is just as high as the desire to change. Why? Because your ego basically has a WTF moment. What do you mean change? What is this going to cost me? How are people going to perceive me? How will things be different? So underlying in our subconscious mind, there is often a fear of change, which becomes the block that stops you in a lot of other therapies. Whereas we as CTC target that, because for as long as you're in a tug of war, you're only going to move to I'm empowered, no, I'm not. I'm good enough, no, I'm not. Whereas we actually ensure that we create wholeness. But one of our first steps in the process is to create wholeness so that you can move forward easily. Have you seen that come up a lot, Nell? And I'd love for you to describe the look on people's faces when they realise there's a part of them that doesn't really want to change, even though they think they do.
Yeah. It is that moment of like, huh? Really? Yeah, it's pretty full on. And when they do come to the realization that they can change it, it's pretty amazing, actually. Yeah. Very amazing. I had a client in yesterday, actually, and she made a choice not to be vaccinated. And she's lost a whole heap of friends, which is, you know, very, very sad. But I looked at her and I said, well, that's okay, because these are your morals, these are your beliefs, and you don't have to change and you don't have to feel guilty. And she goes, oh, yeah, I do, because it's my problem. I was like, honey, it's not your problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, isn't it amazing? And we're just going through a few things with her. You know, we did some EFT, and I put her through a guided hypnosis, which was quite powerful. And afterwards she said, you know what? It is okay for me to be me. And I said, yes. I said, it's okay for you to be seen, to be heard, and it's okay for you to be you, because you're beautiful and you're amazing, and these are your choices. These are your core values and your beliefs, nobody else's. And if people do not like it, that's perfectly fine.
That's right.
It doesn't matter what they think. All that matters is what you believe in and what you think. And with that, you know, she walked out the door bouncing and had this, you know, new lease on life, thinking, you know what, it is okay to be me.
Absolutely. And that's it, isn't it? About being confident enough to be you and to let your light shine. And it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. That doesn't matter. And that's them projecting their stuff on you. And if that's where they're at, that's okay. Because, you know, for us too, as CTC therapists, I'm constantly saying that first and foremost, what we do is not from us, but through us, but to love and respect everybody enough to let them live their life their way. And unfortunately, many people aren't at that space where they can do that. So they project their fears and their stuff on to you. But for all of us, it's about us all getting to the point where we can stand in our light, where we can stand in our true power, live our truth, be our truth, and speak our truth, and not worry about what anybody else thinks. Yet still...
That is exactly right, Jo. And for my client yesterday, you know, I also went on to tell her, It's okay that these people have these feelings and how they think, because they're doing the best that they can.
Yeah.
You're doing the best that you can. We all are at the end of the day, and we're all on this journey at different levels. Nobody can steal your power unless you let them. So, stand tall and be seen and be heard, and love who you are. And I know that when you truly do love yourself with all that you are, life is bloody amazing. You can have it all, you can really. And if I could, leave anything in this world, it would be to tell the beautiful souls that, you can be, do, and have it all. You just need to believe, push through the fear, and get out of the ego head, because it loves to stop you. And yeah.
Beautiful. And there was something that you actually just said that I thought I wanted to touch on. So, oh my goodness. All right, I lost it. Okay, so if you could leave our listeners, and I know you mentioned a couple of things just then, but if you could leave our listeners with, oh, that's right. When you truly love yourself, this is what you had mentioned a moment ago, when you truly love yourself, things change, right? You change, everything changes. But that's also one of the keys to manifesting, right? Because if you I see it in your world, when you stepped into your power, you learned to love yourself, and you began to manifest at speed because you knew that you were worth it. And if we know that we are worthy and deserving, we attract to us that which we desire. So can you elaborate on that a little bit more? It obviously changed your world, and I would love for you to elaborate on your personal journey with manifesting and leave our listeners with your key message.
Okay. So with manifesting, for me, it started at a very young age. I can remember going on a school trip and, living with mum on the weekends, and having to go to the grandparents through the week. So we had this school excursion, and I can remember praying on my knees beside my bed, and it felt like 3 hours. I'm sure it was only about 20 minutes. But I was praying and saying and visualizing my grandfather coming to the house, pulling in the driveway in the blue car, knocking on the door and saying, "Come on, Nell, everyone's waiting for you at the bus stop. You've got to go." It actually happened. Mind blown, but it happened. Mum wasn't very happy because she didn't have the money, but Granddad had the money to, let me go on this school excursion. So everything that I visualized, everything that I felt, saw, heard in that manifesting period of, visualizing it, I actually made it happen. It's like a movie.
Yeah.
Knock, knock at the door, Granddad, come on, let's go. And I was like, wow, that really worked. So over the years, I've been doing it on and off with the manifesting. And, life happens, as we know, and you do get disconnected and get lost. But throughout the CTC with you and all the training, it was that light bulb moment again going, well, this stuff really does work. It's not rocket science. It's quite simple and quite easy when you put it all together. So for anyone out there who wants to manifest love, money, cars, etc., health, you can do it. You just have to see it, feel it, know it, own it, hear it, and really get lost in the moment. Set it in concrete, send it out, and then just don't even worry. Let it go, and it will happen. Yeah, it's that simple. It really is.
Set it and forget it, right?
Yes, yeah. Which I'm doing right now with my new car.
Oh, very good. Well, I know when I saw you just a couple of months ago, you had said, I really want an air conditioner, and a couple of days later, you got an air conditioner.
I did. Yeah. So simple things like that, I said, I don't know how, I don't need to know how or when, but, this will happen. And it did, lo and behold. Beautiful fellow gifted me a near brand new secondhand air conditioner, put it in, which would have cost, a fair bit of money. And it's that simple. I knew it would happen. I just knew it would all come together.
Beautiful. And just so our listeners know what that statement is, it's something I teach everybody. What you do is you want to hold the vision of that which you desire, feel it, see it, hear it, taste it, as though it is now, not that it's coming, as though you have it now. And then you simply say the statement, I don't know how, I don't need to know how or when, but thank you. And what that does is it puts us in a space of zero attachment to the when and the how. We're open to all possibilities, all ways in which it can come, and things happen at speed. So I don't know how, I don't need to know how or when, but thank you is the statement. And Nell is an incredible example of manifesting. You have been doing it consistently.
Mm-hmm. I can remember doing, I'm not sure if it was the the power of you, or one of your other programs where you said to us in a part for an exercise, visualize and manifest something, you know, something easy and quick. Well, that night I visualized flowers on the front doorstep. I saw them, I smelt them, you know, the colors, absolutely beautiful, and the feeling of like, oh, this is so beautiful and amazing, you know, somebody loves me. And the next day, I kid you not, I got home and guess what was there?
Flowers. That is beautiful. Beautiful. Yeah. And the more we do that with the little things, the more we believe. And the more we believe, the more our belief bubble expands. The more our belief bubble expands, the bigger the things that we then manifest. So you can truly have it all. And what I want everyone to remember is that you are worthy. You have always been worthy. You are enough. You have always been good enough. Because the more we value ourselves and the more we know that we are worthy, the more we can attract to ourselves these things. And of course, very powerful is the attitude of gratitude. So Nell and I are obviously CTC therapists. We do see clients in person via Zoom. In fact, all of the CTC therapists see clients via Zoom. So the most important thing is that you find the person that resonates with you. Nell is based for in-person sessions. She's based in Young, New South Wales. And as I mentioned, she's available via Zoom. Feel free to head over to the iictc.net page where you can actually see a list of some of the therapists there. Nell, what would you like to leave our listeners with?
I would love to leave everyone today with the knowing that you were born to succeed, you were born to shine, you were born to, you know, be, do, and have anything that your heart desires. You can do it. I promise you. You just need to push through the fear and believe, and that's when the magic happens. And it is an amazing journey. You will always have two choices, you know, the choice to let somebody steal your power or the choice not to. So what are you going to choose?
That is so beautiful. That is so beautiful, Nell. And here, and here's to you. Do create the dream, right?
Don't do that because I haven't got mine here. I'll pretend.
So thank you so very much